Rajiv had always believed that life had treated him well. As a young man, he had everything he could ask for: a prestigious career as a CEO, a loving wife, and twin sons who brought immense joy. Anika, his wife, had been the light of his life, her smile capable of brightening the darkest of days. She was devoted, patient, and endlessly caring. The birth of their twins had been a dream come true, filling their home with laughter and warmth. Yet, behind the walls of this seemingly perfect life lurked shadows that no one outside could see. Rajiv's mother, Meera, had never accepted Anika. From the moment Anika entered their lives, Meera had made it her mission to plant seeds of doubt and suspicion. She would whisper behind closed doors, small phrases designed to unravel trust, to make Rajiv question the woman he loved. At first, he tried to ignore them, confident that his relationship was strong enough to withstand any interference. But Meera's manipulations were subtle, persistent, and relentless. She painted Anika as someone greedy and deceitful, someone who only pretended to care for Rajiv while secretly plotting against him. Rajiv, torn between the love he felt for his wife and the respect he owed his mother, found himself caught in a silent battle. He wanted to believe Anika, but Meera's words echoed in his mind, sowing doubt and suspicion that grew with each passing day. Arguments, once rare and minor, began to emerge between Rajiv and Anika. Small disagreements would escalate, fueled by the lies whispered by Meera. He would accuse Anika of hidden motives, and she would plead, confused and hurt, unable to understand how the man who once loved her could question her integrity. It was a slow and painful unraveling, one that neither of them could stop. Then came the day that changed everything, the moment that would define the next 18 years of their lives. Meera, with the calm certainty that masked her manipulation, suggested that the twins should stay with her for a while, claiming it was for their well-being and safety. Rajiv, influenced by his mother's persistent lies, agreed without fully realizing the consequences. Anika's protests fell on deaf ears, her pleas drowned in Rajiv's blind trust of his mother. The separation was immediate and devastating. The twins, innocent and unaware of the undercurrents, clung to their mother, confused by the sudden distance from their father. Anika's heart ached as she watched her children taken from her, powerless to stop it. Rajiv, meanwhile, tried to convince himself that he was doing the right thing, that this arrangement would protect his family. But beneath his reasoning was a gnawing guilt he refused to acknowledge. Life continued, but the warmth of their early years faded into a cold routine dictated by lies. The twins grew up mostly under Meera's control. Rajiv visited occasionally, maintaining a polite distance, never daring to confront the possibility that he had been deceived. Anika, barred from seeing her children freely, lived in a state of quiet sorrow, her love for her sons undiminished despite the circumstances. She wrote letters, sent gifts, and tried to maintain contact in any way she could, but every effort was filtered through Meera's influence. Time moved on, and the distance between Rajiv and his family became more than just physical. It was an emotional chasm, filled with years of missed birthdays, unshared milestones, and moments of intimacy lost forever. The twins, now teenagers, sensed the absence of their father, though they could not fully understand why he remained distant. Rajiv buried himself in work, convincing himself that he was a responsible father and husband, but the emptiness inside him grew, unacknowledged and unresolved. And then, one day, fate intervened in the most unexpected way. A video appeared online, captured by a relative at a family gathering, simple and unassuming, yet carrying the power to shatter the years of deception. In the video, Anika was shown teaching the twins to ride bicycles, her laughter echoing as they wobbled and stumbled, their tiny hands gripping hers for balance. The twins, full of joy, called her mom repeatedly, their voices filled with genuine love and happiness. Rajiv watched in disbelief, his mind refusing to accept what his eyes were showing him. He replayed the video again and again, each time noticing more details. The way Anika cared for the children, the tenderness in her gestures, the obvious bond that had never been broken despite the separation. The walls of doubt that his mother had built around his heart began to crumble, revealing the truth he had refused to see for 18 long years. His first reaction was denial, a desperate attempt to maintain the life of certainty Mira had constructed for him. "This can't be real. My mother wouldn't lie to me," he muttered under his breath. But the evidence was undeniable. The love, the care, the connection, everything he had been told about Anika's betrayal was a lie. Overwhelmed with a mixture of guilt, sorrow, and relief, Rajiv finally confronted his mother. Mira, confronted with the irrefutable proof, could no longer maintain her facade. Her anger surfaced, but beneath it lay the truth she had tried to hide: jealousy, control, and years of manipulation. Rajiv's heart ached as the reality hit him. He had allowed deception to dictate the course of his life, and in doing so, he had lost precious years with his children and the woman he truly loved. Determined to make amends, he reached out to Anika. The reunion was emotional beyond words. Tears flowed freely as apologies were exchanged, regrets were voiced, and the deep love that had never faded began to rekindle. The twins, initially hesitant, approached their father with caution, then slowly melted into his embrace, sensing the sincerity and remorse in his heart. That moment marked the beginning of healing. Years of separation and lies could not erase the bond they shared. Rajiv realized that truth and love had always been stronger than manipulation, and though 18 years had passed, there was still hope to rebuild the family that had been torn apart. In the end, the video was more than just footage. It was a revelation, a reminder that no lie can withstand the power of love, and no deception can erase the truth. Rajiv, Anika, and their twins embarked on a new chapter, wiser, stronger, and united, proving that sometimes, it takes years of pain to finally recognize what truly matters. After seeing the video, Rajiv could not sleep for days. His mind kept replaying every moment, every doubt, every harsh word he had thrown at Anika over the years. The guilt weighed heavily on him, a constant reminder of the years lost, the birthdays missed, the milestones he had never witnessed. He remembered the times he had accused her, his voice sharp and accusing, and how she had looked at him with confusion, hurt, and endless patience. Those memories now felt like daggers, slicing through the pride and arrogance he had clung to for so long. The realization hit him with a force he could not ignore. He had allowed himself to be manipulated by someone he had trusted blindly, someone whose love had been conditional and controlling. Mira had exploited his respect for her, twisting his perceptions and keeping him away from his true family. Rajiv knew he had to act, but the fear of how Anika would respond after 18 years of separation made his chest tighten. Would she forgive him? Could their children trust him again? The uncertainty was terrifying, but he could no longer remain passive. He reached out to Anika, sending her a message that he had never thought he would have the courage to write: an apology. It was simple, heartfelt, and raw, admitting not just the mistakes he had made, but the ways he had let deception guide his life. To his surprise, Anika responded cautiously. Her words were measured, cautious, reflecting the hurt that had never fully healed. She did not reject him outright, but she did not immediately embrace him either. She needed proof, sincerity, and time. Rajiv understood. He could not undo the past, but he could show through actions that his remorse was genuine. He began spending more time with his twins, slowly rebuilding trust. At first, they were wary, unsure why their father had returned after so many years of absence. They tested him, asking questions, observing his reactions, seeing if the love in his eyes was real or just another lie. Rajiv welcomed the scrutiny. He answered every question, shared stories from the past, acknowledged his mistakes, and most importantly, listened. Listening became his new way of showing love. He let the twins express their anger, their sadness, and their confusion, never interrupting or justifying his past behavior. Gradually, the walls they had built around themselves started to crumble. Small gestures, a shared laugh, a quiet conversation, a simple hug, began to rebuild the bond that had been broken for so long. Anika watched all of this with a mixture of skepticism and hope. She had protected her children fiercely, enduring the silence, the distance, and the manipulation, but she could see the genuine change in Rajiv. He was no longer the man who blindly followed his mother's words. He had become a father willing to face the consequences of his mistakes, willing to fight for the family he had almost lost forever. Mira, on the other hand, tried to resist the changes. She questioned every decision, criticized every gesture, and attempted to manipulate situations in subtle ways. But her control was weakening. Rajiv had grown stronger, aware of her tactics, and determined not to let her interference destroy what he had finally realized was priceless. The family began to experience small moments of normalcy for the first time in years. Weekend breakfasts together, storytelling, laughter over shared jokes, and the simple presence of each other brought warmth back into their lives. Each smile, each act of love, was a brick rebuilding the foundation of their relationship. Yet, the process was not without challenges. The scars of the past lingered. Old doubts, insecurities, and emotional wounds surfaced frequently, requiring patience and empathy from all sides. Rajiv had to constantly remind himself that earning trust could not be rushed, that every small action mattered more than grand gestures. Anika, too, had to navigate her own fears, remembering the pain of years spent separated and cautious not to let it cloud her judgment of his sincerity. The twins, navigating the complex emotions of teenage years, fluctuated between joy and skepticism. Some days, they were warm and affectionate, and on others, they pulled back, testing the boundaries, seeing if their father's love was consistent. Rajiv learned to accept these fluctuations with humility, understanding that healing was a gradual process, not a sudden transformation. One afternoon, while looking at a family photo he had taken on a quiet weekend, Rajiv felt a surge of gratitude. The twins were smiling genuinely, Anika's arm around them, and for the first time in nearly 2 decades, he felt a sense of belonging that was deep and unwavering. He realized that truth, once revealed, had a power beyond explanation. One video, a simple recording of love and care, had shattered years of lies, and yet it had opened the door to rebuilding a family that seemed lost forever. The journey ahead would not be without obstacles, but Rajiv was no longer afraid. He had learned the value of honesty, the dangers of blind trust, and the importance of fighting for love before it was too late. Each day became an opportunity to show his family that he had changed, that he was committed to being present, and that no influence, however manipulative, could ever separate them again. The past still lingered as a lesson, but it no longer dictated their future. Slowly, steadily, the family healed together, proving that while deception can delay happiness, love and truth have a resilience that cannot be broken, even after 18 years of separation. Rajiv finally understood that redemption was not a gift given lightly, it had to be earned through action, patience, and unwavering sincerity. In every shared laugh, every warm embrace, and every moment of genuine connection, he found the reward he had been searching for, the proof that no matter how long it takes, truth has a way of coming to light, and love, when nurtured, can endure anything. As days turned into weeks, Rajiv began to notice the subtle shifts in his family's dynamics. The twins, who had once been distant and wary, were slowly opening up to him. Small gestures, like sitting beside him during breakfast or sharing stories from school, became milestones he cherished. Every laugh they shared was a victory against the 18 years of silence that had separated them. Anika, observing these changes, cautiously allowed herself to hope. She had endured years of heartache, watching her children grow without their father, yet she couldn't deny the sincerity she now saw in Rajiv's eyes. His apologies were no longer words, they were actions. He attended parent-teacher meetings, celebrated birthdays, and spent evenings helping with homework, patiently rebuilding bonds that had been broken long ago. Mira, sensing that her influence was slipping, tried to assert control in subtle ways. She questioned Rajiv's decisions, critiqued his actions, and occasionally made comments designed to create doubt. But Rajiv had changed. He was no longer the son who blindly obeyed. He had learned to recognize manipulation and choose his family over toxic loyalty. He responded with calm confidence, never harshly, but with a firm commitment to his own truth. The twins began to trust him more each day, their initial caution replaced by curiosity and affection. They asked about the father they had never truly known, wanting to understand the man behind the absence. Rajiv shared stories from their early childhood, told them about his love for Anika, and admitted his mistakes openly. These conversations, filled with honesty and vulnerability, became the foundation of a renewed relationship. Anika watched quietly, feeling both relief and cautious optimism. She had loved Rajiv deeply, and while years of separation had left scars, she could see the man she had once trusted returning, not as a perfect father or husband, but as a genuine one willing to make amends. Slowly, a sense of normalcy began to return. Weekends were spent together as a family, sharing meals, playing games, and creating memories that had been lost to time. The twins laughed freely around their father, asking for advice and sharing secrets, while Rajiv responded with patience and warmth. Each day brought small victories, a shared joke, a hug, a word of encouragement. Rajiv realized that rebuilding trust was a gradual process, requiring consistency, patience, and unwavering commitment. Every interaction mattered, no matter how small. One evening, while helping the twins with a school project, Rajiv reflected on the years of lies and manipulation that had kept them apart. He thought about the video that had revealed the truth, understanding that sometimes life provides unexpected opportunities to correct mistakes. That single recording, capturing moments of love and care, had changed everything. It had pierced through the layers of deception and reminded him of what truly mattered. Rajiv also understood that forgiveness could not be rushed. The twins and Anika had every right to feel hurt and wary. He accepted this, learning to be patient, to listen more than he spoke, and to show love through consistent actions rather than grand gestures. Slowly, the bond between father and children grew stronger. The twins began to call him simply Dad, without hesitation, and Anika allowed herself to lean on him, trusting that he had changed. There were moments of tension, naturally, as old fears resurfaced, but Rajiv met each challenge with honesty and empathy. He realized that true love required effort, understanding, and sometimes enduring discomfort to heal old wounds. Mira, observing the transformation, was left with no choice but to step back. Her attempts at control were met with gentle but firm boundaries, and she slowly realized that the family she had tried to manipulate had moved beyond her influence. Rajiv's priority was clear: his children and his wife, the family that had always deserved his protection and love. Over time, the home filled with laughter, warmth, and connection once more. Family dinners were no longer silent or tense, they were lively and full of shared stories. The twins confided in Rajiv about their dreams and fears, and he listened attentively, offering guidance and support. Anika and Rajiv began to communicate openly again, sharing responsibilities and decisions, rebuilding the partnership that had been strained by years of misunderstanding and manipulation. Rajiv often reflected on the journey, recognizing that the 18 years of separation had taught him invaluable lessons. He had learned the danger of blind trust, the importance of questioning manipulations, and the irreplaceable value of love and family. The twins, in turn, learned about forgiveness and the strength it took to accept someone back into their lives after long absence. Slowly but surely, the family healed together. The pain of the past remained as a lesson, but it no longer defined them. Rajiv had become more than just a father and husband, he had become a man who understood the importance of presence, honesty, and unwavering commitment. Each day became an opportunity to nurture love and trust, to ensure that the mistakes of the past would never repeat.